Hey, Yas, how are you?
I'm good. And hello to all the viewers out there who've been watching us. Welcome to the season finale. What? How did that happen?
Oh, time flies when you're having fun. Seriously, time really does fly.
Right. And I mean, we could talk about food all day, every day, probably for the rest of time. So I'm really excited for another recipe swap. Can I just say this has been my favorite part of our season 3 is doing this exchange of recipes between us, our favorite old comfort food recipes that were, horrible before we remade them. And today we've got like some really great ones. So I mean, I don't know, should maybe you should start, should I start? Who should start?
I'm going to start
Okay.
because I want to say you threw me for a loop. So
I'm gonna
I,
say, wait, stop right there. I'm gonna say
okay,
this is my mom's fault.
okay.
Okay, because when I was kind of like, ooh, what are like some of the juiciest like comfort food recipes ever?
Right.
This is the one that came up that I was like, this might be impossible to do.
Well, she definitely threw me for a loop. I want to say I think I did it. So I'd like to preface this for a hot minute. May I present to you, I know you guys can't see clearly, so let's pop up the picture. Plant-based fish and chips. Couple things about this. First off, it's not that pretty. But I often say to all of my clients, it's not on the outside. It's what's on the inside that counts.
Right.
So
And
it,
can I interject one little thing? Fish and chips in general never is pretty. Let's just be honest. Like it's never pretty.
it's true. So if we're expecting this big crispiness, on a plate or whatever, there's no deep fried here. But I'm pretty proud of the flavors that I captured and the ease actually of how I did it. And even the fact, like, let's look at this again, pop up the picture. Like, I tried to cut the tofu so it didn't look like fingers, like it looked like fish fillets, right?
Amazing.
And so this is how I cut the tofu basically. So you can pop up a picture here. I just wanted to show you. I kind of just took that block of tofu, made it thinner, and just cut shapes. Like nothing fancy, everything was used, but instead of strips or squares, I just cut a triangle here and a rectangle there, and it kind of just ended up making those uneven shapes. So it worked out pretty good.
That is way more authentic looking, I'd say, than probably what you get out of the box fish and chips.
Right? And so what I tried to do was do my take on like a traditional beer battered fish and chips. So I made actually a marinade for the tofu to try to even make it a little bit more of that like seafood taste, more authentic, not just the tofu. So I actually used lemon juice and miso for that. And it worked. Like it worked pretty well. It really infused the taste of the tofu. So
Wow, that
that
is
was one
brilliant.
step. Thank you. One step to make it more authentic tasting instead of just having like breaded tofu. And then you can see here, this is the marinade popped up next to the batter. So the batter was fun. I was like, what can I use instead of beer? Again, alcohol in moderation, no problem with that. But we do still have to remember, no matter how much you drink it, it's a toxin to the body. So if I can prepare food without it, that's what I like to do. So I actually used Zevia brand ginger ale for
Oh,
that carbonation. I keep these in my house every time now and again when I feel like a pop because there's no artificial colors. Every pop is clear. There's no caramel coloring. It's sweetened with Zevia, etc. So I use that in replacement of the beer.
cool.
Yeah. So battered her up, and I did it two ways, but I'm going to let you know in the recipe book. I'm not going to show you the air fryer way because it didn't work. And that's all part of the recipe. So I thought I'd be really keen on doing it in the air fryer, but no. So in the air fryer, the batter just looked like kind of like that white clay outside, or like the clay masks you might use on your face. After I cooked it, I was like, oh, it just was chalky. And I was like, I'm all for like, it's what's inside that counts, but not appealing. So scrapped that. This is actually a really easy oven recipe, guys. So when you're baking it in the oven, you'll see I put a generous amount of batter on. So you can look at that picture here, like almost so it's hanging off the sides. But I feel like that's what actually gives each fillet after that authentic fillet look, is the extra little bit of batter that's encased in it. Never mind the extra taste. So you be really generous with your batter. And for my, obviously, chips, I did sweet potato, but like I did a white sweet potato, like, so it looks more like French fries, so you feel excited about it, but you get so many more nutritional benefits. And if you're buying organic, keep your skins on, more fiber, more flavor, and more nutrients in general. And you can bake it all at the same time.
I just want to say, I didn't realize, I don't know if anybody else I didn't realize there was different colored sweet potatoes. I thought they were
and they all have different nutrients.
Whoa, I didn't know that. Amazing. Okay, cool.
That's so exciting. So yeah, a lighter flesh sweet potato. There are white sweet potatoes. That's what I could find locally where I am right now. So it worked. So what I want to point out with this in general, I'm sorry I went into such detail about the actual recipe, because it was really exciting for me as a creator, as a food creator, you know, to have this work. But what I want to point out is, yeah, it's different. It's definitely not your pub style fish and chips. There's no deep frying, which is huge. Okay. Like, but you can still have a crisp batter and crisp fries. There's no insane amount of sodiums. There's no hydrogenated oils. Like I used avocado oil for the fries. You get a very clean, healthy version that doesn't take from you. It actually gives to you, and it tastes good as well. And it made me really happy to create this. So I'm actually glad my boundaries got pushed. And as a plant-based eater, I did want to take 1 second to address fish, because although it's not something that I eat, it doesn't mean that it's something that's bad for you. Cold water, fatty fish is actually exceptionally good for you. But there's a couple of things that I just want to talk about for people that are looking for the best fish, is that the number one thing is that you never buy farmed fish. I don't care if it's organic farm fish. It's like what you say, Yas. What the animal eat matters. When they're farming fish, the fish are not eating what they're eating when they're free in the lakes and the oceans. They're eating like food of the choosing of the farmer. They are crammed into these small made lakes, tanks, like, so there's poo everywhere. There's just, you can picture it. So these are not the fish that you want to eat. And again, when you talk about meat, yes, and you talk about the cow, etc., the actual health of the fish and what you're getting, the whole makeup of the fish is completely different when the fish is farmed to when the fish is wild caught. So don't be fooled. Very, very important. Again, fish is a great addition to the diet, but it's actually a detriment to the diet if you're eating the wrong fish. And if you don't eat fish, you can have plant fish.
Plant fish, I like that.
with protein, complete protein, organic, you know, organic tofu. So you're getting your protein in.
Amazing. Yeah. Oh, I love that. Oh, and I feel like I really learned from that idea of the fish, and makes sense. You know, what they eat matters. So yeah. Cool.
Yay.
Well, I'm excited because you also, I'd say you expanded my my cooking boundaries, I guess, with this taco bake. So before now, I had never made a taco bake, and I love tacos. So I'm like, how did this not in my life? And now I know, like, a missing piece of the pleasure in food. So thank you for.
You're welcome. I can't wait to see how you made it healthy, because when I used to making it, the recipe.
Right. Well, okay. Yeah. And so what do you actually, I just want to ask you, what do you remember about making this recipe when you made it?
So much grease or water, as you've taught us, coming out of my ground beef. so much grease at the bottom after when I'm done between the cheese. I'm using the black diamond cheese, but not caring about that. Then I was like, oh yeah, that's just what those foods do. Crunchy, cheesy, like just the best texture ever. A big thing of taco that you can just eat. Like best comfort food ever. That's what I remember.
Yeah. Well, you know what? That definitely fits the bill, I would say. So the recipe I made over, it was interesting. It called for craft dinner as, I guess, part of its carbohydrate.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I was like, well, this is an opportunity to use like one of my favorite things, which is the Annie's mac and cheese. And I was like, oh, this is great because it's kind of like spreading out this mac and cheese with all these better ingredients I added. So basically, it's like layers. So we can pop up a picture. I made it a few times. So this is actually not even today's the picture. I've made it so many times since I've redone it. So it's layers. So layers of meat. So I did do the typical ground beef, but I chose better quality ingredients. And that's really how I elevated this recipe. So grass-fed ground beef, taco seasoning that I made myself. So there's no preservatives or weird stuff in that. Then it was about making this like craft dinner layer. Originally the recipe just called just for craft dinner. And I was like, okay, no, we can't just do that. So let's add some vegetables somewhere to this thing where normally there's no veggies.
Yes.
Right. And some black beans to keep it in that like Mexican flavor. But now we're adding fiber, so we're actually adding some stuff that really feels kind of just like you don't really notice it. When you're eating it, it just tastes like it's, it was always meant to be there. Like, can't believe it people made it without this. So that's what I did was, so veggies, I picked onion, red pepper, mushrooms, just fried them up in the pan, sauteed in better oils. So avocado oil, so I can really control those oils. So we're just taking away all that like processed stuff that destroys any health, that makes it a negative health food. So, and then what was really neat about the flavor, so to make it creamier, kind of like a nacho cheese kind of flavor, is adding sour cream to the Annie's when you're done making it. And so I used, the probiotic sour cream that is your recipe, which is amazing. And it just elevates it to like this creaminess. So it's all layered. It's what else can I tell you? So the salsa is organic. I did use grass-fed cheese. So using things that, you normally would use, but just, better quality. And to be honest, when, kind of the education piece I wanted to bring to today is that is the strategy I use very often when I'm talking about nutrition with my patients in my naturopathic practice is, what can we do? What are you already eating? And how can we switch it so that we're elevating the ingredients? You're still getting what you want to eat. And so it makes it an easier switch.
1,000%. That's the foundation to do my little, how can you make everything you eat a little bit more healthier? Like it's so important. Yes. That sounds amazing. And for any plant-based eater out there, so easy to do as well. When you're swapping out the ground beef, let's say for tempeh, you know what I mean? Crumble tempeh and still season it the same way that you're going to season ground meat, and then choose a plant-based cheese like of your choosing, a clean one that's available.
I'm adding that idea to my recipe right now. That's so darn good.
That's amazing because now you've just created this wonderful recipe that's available to every eater, literally every eater, dairy-free, gluten-free, whatever, like you've made this available.
Amazing. Yeah. Well, and the taste. Oh, my mouth is just watering. Yeah.
I'm already like, okay, girl, do I have these ingredients to make this tonight? So I'm already, you know what I mean? And sorry, I left out too to make it plant-based for the mac and cheese. There are a lot of better elevated plant-based options, like even available in a box that you can be using now and again. You don't have to go and make mac and cheese from scratch. You can, if you have a favorite recipe, but you don't need to. There's so many even plant-based cheese sauces out there where you just boil your own pasta and do a plant-based cheese sauce of your choice and boom, put that recipe together.
Right? Exactly. So yeah. And to get one more thing, to get the crunch, just eat it with tortilla chips, because I've done that too.
Did literally, I won't lie, that's all I did. And that stretched me so much in terms of, like you said, you take a box of, in my days, Kraft Dinner, and you stretch it. You're like a university kid and whatever, and you make it stretch. But oh yeah, I would just like kill that with a thing of nachos. Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Wow. So another season done. Holy Hannah.
Another season done. It has been awesome. Like you, I've really enjoyed these recipe swaps and learning from you, Yasmin, and just spending time with you and everybody else. So I really appreciate that. I'm grateful for that.
Me too. Samesies.
Okay, guys. So until next time,
Until next time.
see you later.
Bye.
Bye.